So let's talk about this URL. URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator, and it's used to locate particular resource on a server. So if resource is being hosted on a server, you can access in the web browser through this URL. And in browser we use HTTP protocol to access resource on the web server. So the browser accepts the HTTP protocol, and with this protocol it access the resources on the web server, and that resource may be any HTML file, image or PDF or any Word document or any other resource. And now we are going to see the URL syntax, and these are the few examples of this URL. And the first part is the protocol. Since we are accessing the HTML, we need to contacting with the web server, that's why we are going to put this HTTP protocol, and we need to say colon, and next we need to put 2 forward slashes, and then we need to define the IP address colon, and the port number is 80. So this HTTP's default port is 80, and slash, you need to say slash and define the HTML file you need to access. In our case it's index.html. So this is a simple URL syntax, and first we are defining the protocol HTTP, and then we are putting colon 2 forward slashes, and then we are defining the IP address, and this colon 80 defines the port of the web server, and this index.html is the file hosted on the web server. And instead of this IP address, we can put the domain name also, google.com. As you can see from the previous example, I did not put the colon 80 because by default, if you did not put this colon 80, the browser takes the port 80 as a default port. So if the web server is running on another port, you need to specify colon 1000 or 2000 or the port on which the web service is running. So since we did not put any colon 80 and the Google's web server is servicing from the port 80, we can good to go with this google.com only. And HTTP protocol, google.com domain name, I already showed you how DNS works. So instead of remembering all these IP address, we can say domain name, and then slash, we need to say temp.png. So this image file is being hosted by google.com. So I took this only for example, guys, just don't write, you'll get an error. And next example is http://google.com, and then if the images are in any other folder, you need to specify that folder, and in that folder you need to specify the file name you want to access. So I want to access this temp2.png, and it's in images directory. If you want access another directory, you need to change these images to another directory, and you can change to another file that's located in another directory. So you can just put so many folders like this if there are so many resources on the google.com. So this is a basic syntax, but this URL does not apply to HTTP protocol only. You can use this URL to access FTP server also using the browser. All you need to type is FTP instead of HTTP colon 2 forward slashes, and you need to type in the username colon password @ domain name. So this is Nikki's username, and this Nikki is the password, and @ laptop.com. If the FTP server allows anonymous access, you can just type anonymous or the blank username and the password. So you can also put the IP address instead of this domain name. So we will be using some different kinds of these URLs like FTP, RDP, SSH in other applications like command line applications and so on. So don't think that URL is only for HTTP, but it also applies to other protocols also. So that's all about the URL basics.